Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us again this month for InfoFluency's new episode of our webinar series. The past few months, we have been bringing on executives to get their perspective on data and using data, leveraging data within their company, and the importance that they place on it. So we're really excited to have Pete Hayes with us this month. He is with Chief Outsiders. Pete, thank you so much for joining us this month. And we're going to have a mini episode with him sharing getting his perspective on data, how Chief Outsiders is using it, how they've seen their clients using it, and so much more. So thank you so much, Pete, and let's dive into it.
At InfoFluency, we really firmly believe, like I said before, that data is an asset. And we see a lot of cases where companies, in our view, are undervaluing it or under prioritizing it, underutilizing it. Do you see that as well? And what factors do you think are contributing to that, if so?
I think data feels cold, and it feels like a number, and it feels like an absolute. And the magic is when data relates to other data, and there's relationships and correlations, and you flip bits. And I mean, one of my favorite things to do, kind of off this topic, but I'm now loading spreadsheets into one of the AI engines and asking questions, and that's being really valuable, and probably will fuel more regular dashboardy kinds of stuff that we might do together. But it's always, especially in professional services, it's always about curiosity. So if you're not curious about your data, and it's not about, oh, well, I know those numbers, or we have those numbers, are over here. And I think that's some of what you do on your website and with your revenue platform and revenue tracking dashboards and such, that you're giving some examples of, there's more here than the numbers. So I think that's the thing. It might not be enough to say companies aren't taking advantage of their data. I think what they're not taking advantage of is how data they have relates to other data they have. I think that's the magic. And I think that's what you guys do a really good job of.
That's the magic. I love that. Thank you.
I want to kind of shift and understand, even from a perspective of your CMOs and CSOs, and how you've seen them successfully utilize data or analytics in the clients that they're working with, and just any thoughts or observations on how that's gone well.
Well, I think to the kind of general discussion, I think most businesses don't either haven't brought it to the forefront. We're talking about data, and don't put it to good use. And I would say in virtually every client engagement we have, we are helping the company engage with their data more directly. And sometimes it's in the real obvious areas, like we talk about digital, with digital dashboards and Google Analytics and Google Studio, and pulling just putting to use the data from their digital world. We're doing that a lot. Sometimes they don't even have the systems in place to capture the data. So, and at least 80% of the times we're changing the MarTech or the sales tech platforms, or updating them, or even sometimes just getting what they have more operational. So it's always part of the program, because it's where the opportunities are. I mean, I made the comment that companies perhaps universally aren't really going after insight the way they could, and sometimes it's company insight, sometimes it's competitive insight, but at the same time, at the very last of the execution gear, guess what's there? Metrics. And so they're not metrically keeping themselves, their teams accountable, or they think they are, but if you ask a CEO, how accountable are your sales and marketing folks, and how happy are you with their KPIs? How happy are you with the data that you get on their progress? You're going to get low scores. They just wish it was at another level, and they love their people, but they'd love to also get to that next level of data insight.
Well, I want to circle back to that for a minute because it makes me curious, any other examples that you might have off the top of your head of how the insight gear, translates to the strategy gear. Is there any, common ways that you see that those working together, and curious some examples.
I think you kind of called out one earlier. You're fishing for it anyway. Like, okay, well, it looks like this route to market is more valuable than another. Well, maybe we should overinvest there, and that affects the strategy gear. The first bullet on the strategy gear is your markets. What markets, what targets, what routes to market are you going to address, and how you're going to invest there. So just very simply, something like that comes into great play.
That's so cool. I think that anyone listening to this, reading his book would be, really helpful. And especially speaking to a lot of, data first business leaders. So grab his book. Is it on Amazon?
Oh, it's everywhere. Yeah.
Everywhere. Okay. I'll actually post it in the link to buy in the information for the webinar. So
I read it and I highly recommend anybody else to read it. And I'm inspired to read it again.
It's a page turner. It's not, it's a page turner, but yeah, we find it really useful we use it as a tool to help our executive teams that we're working with just get a more general sense of, what are the things that are going to drive growth. And the cornerstone of that is it's data on the front and data on the back.
And driving growth, I mean, that's everyone's question, and everyone, kind of wants the silver bullet to that. And I like to think that it's data, but not everyone shares that opinion. So, I mean, I think we've touched on this some, but I just want to, give you a chance to share any last thoughts on advice to the leader who maybe wants to step into building a more data-driven culture, a data-driven company, or maybe and secondarily, I guess, to the leader who is skeptical or not sure of the value that would bring. And, it can be high investment to build that out. So maybe speaking to both of those leaders, what would your advice be?
So I think that everybody recognizes that data is powerful, and they probably wish they had a better handle on their data. We talked about data cleansing and so forth, and we spend a lot of time on insight, and they do go together. It's not that much money, and that's the nut. It's just not that much, and you don't have to go spending huge gobs of money to get benefit. So, and we experienced this when we started working with you. We started on a few things. This dashboard will be really important. And we said, hey, how about this one? How about this one? How about this one? And we got very, very creative, and we're seeing things that are answering, all sorts of questions about business. So I think you can go in as deep as you need to. And, again, on ROI, is it going to pay for itself? Well, better hope so. I mean, it can be game changing. I mean, to your point of asking the question about, well, how do you feed the strategy gear? Well, that one decision might, change the course of a business or radically alter the priorities. So, yeah, jump in. Water's great.
Love it. Love it. Well, thank you so much, Pete, for joining us. And we're just really appreciative of your time and our, continued relationship with Chief Outsiders. And so we hope everyone will tune in next month. I'm not going to divulge who we'll have on, but we hope that you will join us again. And thank you again, Pete.
All right. Thanks, y'all.